Welcome back to the Jaguar King podcast. I'm your host, Armin. With the Jaguars offseason in full swing, it's time to look at free agency. The Jaguars are dipping into their trust fund left over by their abusive parents, and with a ton of money to spend, the only question is, what do you want?
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
Yes, I referenced The Notebook in a football video. Let's not all pretend that we didn't enjoy that movie. It's time to let our true feelings show. Stop holding everything back and be a man about your decisions. Sorry guys, it was another podcast. Wrong notes. Let's get into the video. The Jaguars have a total of 27 free agents. I'm not going to go through them all because a lot of those guys were picked off from practice squads due to injuries and COVID-related situations. So they're most likely going to be cut anyway. So I'm only going to focus on the players who actually contributed to the team last year. Honestly, if it were up to me, I'd cut every single one of these little punks. We went 1-15. What the hell am I going to do with you? But I'm sure Urban Meyer is a lot more rational and a lot less of a dumbass than I am, so he's going to keep some of these guys. So let's look into the guys who we could potentially keep. So let's start with the most important guy on this list, quarterback Mike Glennon. What the hell are we going to do without Mike Glennon? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to win more than one freaking game next year. On to the next guy, Tyler Eifert. This one's a doozy. Eifert caught 36 passes, good for 349 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nothing really to be impressed about. But our offense as a whole was total butt cheek, so it's really hard to evaluate anybody on the offense. Eifert dealt with injuries most of his career, but last season he was actually healthy. But still, nothing he did that season made me feel like, oh yeah, we got to keep this guy. I believe he's a club option, so his cap hit will be around $6 million. Do I think he's worth that? No. But then that leads me to my next guy, Oshag Hennessy. Oshag's been a solid guy for us. He just always gets the job done. He's always good for that one key first down, that one key block. So for the right price, I wouldn't mind him back as the backup tight end. We let Tyler Eifert go when you pick up a guy in free agency or the draft to be the starter, someone with a more receiving background. But if we don't plan to keep Oshag Hennessy, or we don't like any tight ends in the draft or anybody in free agency, then I think keeping Tyler Eifert for that one more year would be a good fit. The next guy on the list is Cam Robinson. I'm going to get straight to the point here. I don't think we should keep him. Now, Cam Robinson is not a bad left tackle. He's a serviceable one. But serviceable protection ain't going to cut it for that beautiful blondie there next year. Now, for the right price, I could see him coming back or us making an offer for him, but he's probably going to be looking at $10 million a year range, and I just don't think he's worth it. Only because you're spending $10 mil on potentially he's going to get it all together and be a good left tackle, but you can also go cheaper in the draft and have the same potential, or you can get a guy like Trent Williams who's proven he's a top-tier left tackle. So for me, I don't see the Jags making that move, but again, I could see him coming back if the situation's right. But if I'm going to be definitive, let him go. The next guy on the list is Tyler Shatley. I think we keep him just because of his name. So let's move on to our free agent wide receivers, started with Chris Conley. Chris Conley must have dipped his hands in cement before the season started last year because the dude had bricks for hands. He was dropping everything. Now, I don't think he's as bad as he was last year because the year before that, he was pretty reliable for us, but I still think we let him go. He's got some speed. He's got pretty decent route running. But again, I think you can find that somewhere else in free agency or the draft. The next wide receiver on this list is Keelan Cole. This is a tough one. I personally like Cole and I like his play style. And I would keep Cole, but only for the right price. He might test the market and try to get more money and potentially be a wide receiver too. But he did say he's willing to re-sign for the Jaguars. But we all know everything changes when they bring you that briefcase full of money. The reason I would keep him is because he's shown flashes of big play ability. He's made some of the best catches for the Jaguars that I've seen over the last few years. So I think for the right price, I wouldn't mind him being back on the Jaguars. The next free agent wide receiver is D.D. Westbrook. I don't think D.D. Westbrook even wants to negotiate with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year, he was a healthy scratch all year. The one time he got onto the field, they put him out there on kick return. He hasn't taken a hit all season, and he gets absolutely blasted by some 250-pound psychos out there and tears his ACL. I feel bad for the guy, but I honestly don't see the Jaguars wanting him back, nor do I think he wants to stay here. So I think if we resign any wide receivers from our previous year, I think we resign Cole. That's pretty much for the offense. Let's move on to the defensive free agents. Starting with the defensive line, Dwayne Smoot. Smoot led the team with 5.5 sacks last season. When you say that out loud, that sounds absolutely awful. He came out and said that he's not going to take a hometown discount and he's going to get paid what he thinks he's worth. Playing hardball, huh? I feel like I keep saying this, but again, I wouldn't mind bringing him back for the right price because he would be a solid depth rotational guy. You can never have too many defensive linemen. The next guy in the defensive line is RB Jones. Jones is the longest tenured Jaguar on the roster. He could provide some depth behind Devon Hamilton at that nose tackle spot, but all in all, I think we let him walk too. In order to keep up with the Joneses, you have to have more than one on your team. So let's look at safety Josh Jones and cornerback Sidney Jones. Starting with Josh Jones, he didn't really pan out for us at safety. I think if we bring him back, he would be more in a special package role where he's inside the box and blitzing and stopping the run because he struggled in coverage last year. So that'd be the way I bring him back. I wouldn't mind if we let him go, but I can see him filling out some role for us on the defense. Moving on to Sidney Jones, this is a guy I want back on the team. He showed flashes last year, and I think he could be a solid cheap option at that second corner spot opposite of CJ Henderson. He's also got some injury history that might play a factor in him coming back or not, but when he was in last year, he made some plays. Trey Herndon is a free agent. He's an interesting fella. I think we can keep him for depth or even keep him starting at that nickel spot. Herndon is a mixed bag. Sometimes he's in great position to make a play but can't get his head turned around. Other times he's completely lost, and sometimes he makes turnovers for us. I think he'll be cheap and he has shown the ability to make some plays, so I can see him coming back and providing some depth for the team, especially with injury histories. And again, you always need depth at the corner spot. And the last guy on the list is disc jockey Hayden. I think he gets let go. Last year he was battling injuries and he was barely in, but when he was in, he was getting absolutely smoked. So that's kind of what I think the Jaguars would do this free agency. Obviously, the more we learn about our new coordinators and what they want for their offensive skill set players and their defensive players, we'll have a better indication of who they want to keep. But in general, that's kind of what I think based off last year. So I would keep O'Shea Hennessy, keep Keelan Cole, keep Shatley, and on defense, I would keep Sidney Jones and Dwayne Smoot. When I was going through his list, I was like, oh, he's not bad. We can keep him. But then I was like, well, actually, we can let him go. I don't think it'll change much. There's really no one on this team that's a must resign. At least not right now. Truth be told, I feel like if we let all these guys go and just completely bring in new guys for them, it wouldn't make that much of a difference. But when you're rebuilding, I don't think you want to just completely cut everybody. I think you want some continuity in the locker room. Let me know what you think of that list. Who do you want to keep next year on the Jaguars? Who do you not mind letting go? For the next video, I'm going to go into the top free agents that I think the Jaguars should try and get, and look who we can add to the team through free agency. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to everyone who subscribed to my channel. Your support means a lot to me. Don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see you next video.